In today's video, we're going to review the new plugin from ADPTR called Hype. Let's go over the parameters that this plugin offers. Starting from the top, we have the on-off button. Then we find the presets saving menu that comes with additional global settings, such as auto gain and linear filters if you want to preserve your sources phase relationship. This is very useful on bus processing. Then we have a clipper option that you can have on the wet source or on the overall output. Last, you can reset the zoom to standard view and you can select a new default zoom size too. We then have the actual presets folder with detailed sections for different source material. It is very easy to navigate the different categories and filter out the ones you need or the ones you don't need. It's easy to add favorites so that you can find your most used presets quickly. You can find the author of the presets and some additional useful notes on the right. When creating your own presets, you can add that information in yourself. Comparing presets couldn't be easier thanks to the A, B, C, and D options. There is a copy preset button to the right and next to it a paste button. You can also select any of the A, B, C, and D options and scroll to a different preset or start from scratch. We can follow up with the next section underneath. We have from left to right an input meter showing peak and RMS values. Peak in lighter gray and RMS in darker gray. The possibility to increase and decrease by 24 dB, either sliding up or down on the numerical slot, or simply select the slot and type in a desired value. The tone slider lets you modify the tone of the signal. It will soften the very high end and scoop lower mids to produce a creamy tone. It can be very useful to get the desired tone balance. I found it useful on harsh material to tame it down, for example on aggressive hi-hats. In the middle, we find the overall mix-dry-wet balance of the plugin. The dynamic target slider lets you gently glide the target fader to push the levels towards the ideal range. This one is best tuned by ear. Last on this row, we find the output meter. Like the input meter, it shows peak and RMS values and lets you decrease and increase the signal by 24 dB. Moving on to the middle section of the plugin, we have from left to right and from top to bottom the compression module to compress the signal, the harmonics module to add harmonics to the signal, and the stereo processing module to balance the mid-side signal of the dry and wet sound. All three come with their own on-off switch. A 3-dotted square section next to the name of each module allows to proceed to a more detailed multi-band in-depth view. Under, we find a relative mix knob in a simple view and a preset selection option at the bottom. The compression module detail view offers from top to bottom and from left to right, first a preset menu to load the module settings, then a style selection tool that contains 6 different compression algorithms. A line of top sliders to control the value of a parameter dependent on which algorithm you selected. The first slider is aggregate, but you can fine-tune the other bands if you wish. Here under, there's an aggregate mix knob on the left. It's the same as the one in the simple view, and then individual mix knobs for the low, mid, and high sections. You can set these individually and then refine the overall mix with the aggregate mix knob. They will retain the relative differences as you increase or decrease the overall compression mix knob. The lower sliders are like the top ones. What parameters they control will be dependent on which algorithm you've selected. According to the manual, the following are descriptions of the different algorithms. Slam is the most extreme of all the compressor modes. It can also be very subtle and sublime, depends on how you want it. Performing the dynamic equivalent of a tilt shift, where anything over the target is squashed down towards the target, and everything underneath is pushed upwards in the same radical way. The target control sets the midpoint and is broadly the same as the threshold in this mode. The body control changes the tilt of this line, simultaneously offering downwards and upwards compression. The transient control introduces a control lag, causing transients to spill through the compressor, emphasizing onsets in a controlled way. The leaked transients are then left to be caught by the final clipper. Brick is based on an idealized brick wall limiter with a modern pristine sound. Signals are boosted into a limiter at up to plus 48 dB. Target is the limiter level, set this to define where the limiting kicks in. Squash is the amount of gain. Use this to propel your signal at the target level. Transient is a spill control, which is similar to the one in SLAM, but uses a different algorithm to achieve a more percussive character. This setting causes the brick wall to momentarily allow a signal at up to 6 dB above the target level. Next is combo, a three-way fusion of SLAM, brick and gate. The target control sets the center point for the SLAM control and also directs the gate. The SLAM control is equivalent to the body control of a SLAM processor with no transient leakage. This signal is then sent to a gate set at 24 dB below the target to map up low-level signals from room noise to the very end of reverb tails. The brick control directs both the squash and transient on a modified brick algorithm. The results of these two compressor detection circuits are then mixed to shade the result. Gentle. The gentle algorithm is, as it suggests, the least radical option. Instead of driving the signal towards barriers, it applies a common and continuous curve that has no sudden changes in ratio. Target defines the point of the curve where gain is unaltered. Everything over this is compressed down and everything under this is pushed up. Compress defines the rate at which the curve alters above and below the target. Lift applies an additional boost to the lower level sounds, ideally suited for small changes and mastering. Gentle is an elegant dynamic control mechanism for a more civilized age. Gated. The gated mode combines a pristine compressor with a noise gate. Signal exceeding the target are compressed downwards. As the signal drops, it is reduced by a gradual gate. As well as a gradual close time, the gate also reduces the volume based on the amount below the target. Target defines the point of which the compressor kicks in and also drives how much the gate reduces signal at each point. Push drives the signal into the compressor, increasing levels up to a point. Gate defines the time that the gate takes to close once the signal has dropped. Opto. This mode offers a moderate compression with a distinctive attack and release characteristic. Through physical modeling, this mode allows the user to simulate classic opto compressors, including some with otherwise impossible configuration. Target defines the point at which the detection circuit will cause gain reduction. Transient, by modeling the thermal inertia of the light-emitting section of an optocompressor, we can change the attack and release behavior. We literally change the bulb on your behalf. Compress, alter the compression applied above the threshold. Higher settings will have a more noticeable effect. The harmonics module detailed view shows from top to bottom and left to right a preset menu to load the module settings. Then another drop-down menu allows to choose between 6 different modes for generating harmonics. According to the manual, these are the following. Excite, smooth, even distribution of odd and even harmonics, add subtle warmth and detail. Drive, simple, effective, odd-order harmonics. Sine clip, rich, vibrant coloration for synths. Sine fold, the dirtier cousin of clip. The fold produces an extra octave of harmonic saturation. Saturate, or tubious offering. Saturate signal with a high order of richness and detail. And last, even, pure even harmonics, especially awesome for adding girth and growl to low-end subs, sine waves and 808s. Unlike for the compression module, where you have to choose one algorithm for all the bands, here you can either choose a common overall harmonics generator mode, or each band has the possibility to select a different harmonics generator mode. Like for the compressor section, there is an aggregate mix knob, and you can also set the dry-wet balance for each band. Last in this section, we find the intensity slider, which is used to control how the harmonics are added relative to the input volume. At low intensity, the volume of the harmonic series reacts dynamically to the input signal. Quiet signals produce lower harmonic volume, while louder signals have louder harmonics. At high intensity, the harmonic series is heard at a consistent volume, irrespective of the input level. In the stereo processing module detail section, we find again from top to bottom and left to right, first the preset menu to load the module settings. The module's input source. You can choose to control just the wet signal, the dry, then both by selecting all. Next, there is the option to select the control mode for a single band. Use this option when you want to set a unique control mode for a band. To unlink it from the aggregate control, select None from the menu. The width control affects the mid-side balance of each band. Wet band controls, we can edit the parameters for a single band. Notice how when we tweak a band, it updates the main aggregate control. Dry bands control, we can edit the parameters for a single band. Notice how when a band is linked, we tweak it. This updates the value of the main aggregate control. Underneath, we find the multiband crossover frequencies. The blue lines represent the processing signal and the gray lines the original sound. You can grab the bands to redefine the frequency ranges, or type them in the relative circled areas. There is the possibility to rebalance the gain structure of the low, mid, and high section by plus or minus 20 dB. Double-click on the value to reset it. Lastly, there is an on-off bypass button and a solo button. You can also click on any of the multiband section to bypass them. Now that we've covered all the functions, let's listen to a few A/B comparisons. In case you would want any of them, most of these presets are available in the plugins preset library. Have a nice day, thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.